Hey guys, Zyger here. Just wanted to bring you guys a video about feedback I gave the Diablo 3 dev team at Blizzcon. So I had a good opportunity for most of the 2 days that I was there to ask the devs various questions, give some feedback, and they were very receptive to that. At one time they had 20 to 30 devs in that only area for that, the Slaughtered Calf Inn. So got a lot of good questions in. Had to thank them for being receptive to what I had to say. And I wanted to just share with you some of the things I told them because I think it's important as far as how the game is going to evolve, that it becomes better and better and better, and there's more and more incentive for hardcore players that play the game very actively to play more. And the first thing I said was in regards to two Canized Cubes recipes. So just to show you right here, everyone knows these two recipes. They're used pretty frequently compared to most, I would say, especially this one is the upgrade rare item recipe for Canized Cube. I told the devs I think this is too powerful. The reason I think this is because basically, especially with Barbarian, most of the Barbarians are targeting mighty weapons, two-hand mighty weapons or one-hand mighty weapons. And there's just a few of them to go through. So really what you have is Barbarians that are literally getting their GG ancient weapon on day 2. And there's not much of a struggle to get that weapon, which what the game was prior to these recipes. In a way it's cool because you feel more powerful quickly, but there's not as much of that exhilaration factor when you get it. So I told the devs I think this is a little bit too powerful. And it's interesting because I used to think that blood shards were too powerful because blood shards were you were able to put full sets of gear together in a very short amount of time just by farming blood shards, and you could get access to basically any item you wanted in the game. Well, this has kind of become the thing that superseded that. And just to illustrate you, I'll just show you this in Canized Cube for a barbarian. If I do this, Fear of the Vanished Peak, well, that's not used too often. Let's try it again. Let's see how long it takes for me to get a Hammer of the Ancients. That one, same thing. So it's a 1 out of 5 chance here. And when you do this, chances are that you can just basically spam this for at least 20 weapons like I'm just doing right now. Late day 1, day 2. And you see I just got it on my 5th one, so that's a 1 out of 5 chance, and I just got, the GG weapon that you're looking for group play, at least, for the most part, unless you're going ZDPS. But anyways, I mean, and this one wasn't an ancient one, but this just shows my point that it's really easy for some classes to get that. Now, I know for some classes it isn't, like Monk Fists and things like that. I know that that's more strenuous, so I told Roger Houston, the dev, about this and my opinion on it, and he immediately agreed. He thinks this is slightly too powerful. There is some potential ways to rectify this that were thrown out, like potentially scaling it different ways, making it harder to get that weapon for classes that only have 5 options or something. But that will be interesting to see if that gets changed. The other thing with the other recipe was the Reforge a Legendary. Now, I think this one is not powerful enough. Very few players take advantage of this, and really the only time that you saw this being used during the season was when Blizzard gave the double bounty bags for bounties, the community buff. So when that happened, people were spamming bounties and just gathering all these things so they could reroll their items. Otherwise, I don't think many people spend the time, do bounties, and actually do this because there's very few people that seem to have interest in doing it. It's very costly. When it comes to weapons, you can just use the upgrade over and over and over anyways and try to get your GG weapon. So I thought this was not powerful enough, and I think Roger actually agreed on that too. So those are two things that I said regarding that. Another thing of feedback that I gave is that players are starting to burn out early in seasons, like even week 3 and week 4. I see people in my guild dropping, my clan just dropping pretty frequently throughout the season when it gets to like week 3, week 4. And I think that part of it is because players are having a hard time, forming that perfect comp of people that are still playing the season actively. And what's happening is solo is so hard to excel in right now because you just can't push the greater rift levels that you could with 4s. So very few players play it. And because of that, they feel inadequate, like they can't upgrade their gems very well. Well, this concern seems to have been addressed already in 2.4. Blizzard is making solo much more attractive, and twos and threes more attractive than it has been as well, because the monster health will be significantly reduced. I think it's a great change for a game. One of the best things I could have heard at BlizzCon, and I did, so that was good. Another thing, this is real basic, and the whole community knows about it, is that lag is simply hindering the game. I mean, Blizzard put in some really cool things for the game that just no players can utilize at a high level right now, like area damage and life on hit. And it just is really defeating the purpose of the game if you're to unspec all of your points in area damage just to avoid that lag. But that's really the reality of things. Same with life on hit. So it just seems like the game is set up to be very good, but just the server issues are causing so much lag. And again, this is being addressed. It sounds like there's going to be some fixes to this in 2.4. It might not be like an end-all be-all solution, but it should help. The server slam that took place seems to have generated a lot of data that can help the devs fix this. So devs are aware of this one. It's a big hindrance, and it's a thing that is really causing a lot of people to not want to play. I mean, area damage should be a cool thing that, that works well. The other thing is area damage, the code for it is not working the way they intended for it, and Wyatt said that it's probably not going to be ready in 2.4, but maybe be ready shortly thereafter. That's kind of a bummer too, because just we need more options for damage abilities. Critical hit damage is by far the most attractive stat on gear, and it's this thing that everyone basically stacks. So if you don't have, close to max critical hit damage in every piece, you're just not doing as much damage as you could. But with area damage on some specs, you would think that'd be, a fun new dimension to use. So the other thing that I said is really needed for this game is some sort of spec manager or quick spec changing mechanism, like Outfitter. Some people in World of Warcraft will know what that is, but gear sets. Gear and spec sets. So, for instance, you could have like a little utility bar down in like the lower right corner or wherever you wanted to put it on the UI, where you could have, 5 different specs for each character. Because what's happening right now is people are literally making like 5 barbarians or 5 monks, all with different specs. And I can just tell you, they're not really attached to that individual character. It's just for the utility of being able to, oh, hey, I'm going to exit the game, and I'm just going to go over to my other barbarian here that is set up properly the way I want him to. So they switch the hero, just go to the barb that they want, go back in, and that's great. But, I mean, you're wasting character slots. If people don't have those extra characters that are spec'd that way, at the get-go, you're wasting time in the party. People are, like, going AFK waiting for people to change all their gear, all their sets, all their specs, all their talents, and it's just a really annoying factor. It's kind of frustrating when you're in a game and you decide to kind of change the group makeup a little bit, and all of a sudden, well, it's going to take 15 minutes to get everything done, everything re-rolled or whatever, and it's really is a bummer. I can tell you that's frustrating, and it just seems like that hindrance should not be there in this game. You should be able to swap on a fly. Some kind of spec management system would be excellent. And just to go along with that, maybe some kind of gem locker or gem vault of some sort, which allows you to easily manage, your gems on your various characters as well. Because with the gems, it becomes really tedious to just swap those to the other character. And then, hey, I accidentally logged out of the game when my gems were on one of my characters. Well, I forgot what that one is. Let me log into all of my other characters to find that. There should be some kind of system that allows you to swap gems easily. So, and then above that, I just said I really appreciated the way that the game's developed since vanilla. I mean, that's honest feedback. I feel, and I've always felt, that you have to give some credit where credit's due, and that is something that the devs have been super good at, and just thank them for being receptive to player and community feedback. The devs were pretty clear and pretty straightforward about the fact that my type of playstyle, for instance, is not the average player, and I understand that. So they kind of have to cater to multiple different player types, but still, I do feel that they are listening to some people that play the game very consistently and making good changes. So wanted to just thank them for, answering the questions, and that's about it. So I'd like you guys to comment down below, what would you give the devs for feedback? What would you say about this game in the current state? And what do you think are the most desirable features that could be implemented shortly to come? I mean, given that 2.4 is going to incorporate some things, but there's always more to come. So thanks. Please catch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Zyger, and see you in game.